As a wire.
Is it okay? Sarah, what is this supposed to do?
As a wire.
Is it okay? Sarah, what is this supposed to do?
As a wire.
Is it okay? Sarah, what is this supposed to do?
Okay, it's 1:30. Shall we begin? First thing, check your cell phones, please. And Linelda, would you call the roll, please?
Commissioner Shoemaker,
Present.
Commissioner David,
Present.
Commissioner Gossick Seidman,
Present.
Vice Mayor Moore,
Present.
Mayor Hillman,
Present.
Town Manager Labadie,
Present.
Town Attorney Bachner.
Present.
Thank you.
Okay, can we all rise for the pledge?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Next is the approval of the agenda. Does anybody have any adjustments, pluses or minuses on the agenda? No? Okay, can we have a motion, please?
I move we approve the agenda as presented.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Linelda, do we have anybody in the queue for public comments?
There's no one in the queue, but we did get a letter from a gentleman that I would pass tonight. His name is Mr. Bennett. He is wrote about the sign, the entry signs. We can either read it now or we can read it at the time you're on the item.
Let's hold it for the appropriate time, okay? Or are you just gonna, you have copies to pass out?
Yes.
Okay, you can pass it out and then maybe the vice mayor can give us a quick summary on it when we get to it. So I will close public comments, move on to announcements, board vacancies. There's one vacancy for a 3-year term for the Board of Adjustments and Appeals. Natural Resources has one vacancy for an unexpired term ending April 30th of 24. Upcoming meetings, June 14th, code enforcement at 1 o'clock. June 21st at noon is a town commission special meeting. And then at 1:13, same day as a regular town commission meeting. There are no board action reports. We'll move on to ordinances. Can be found on page 7. That would be 8A. Ordinance of the Town Commission of the Town of Highland Beach, Florida, amending the town's comprehensive plan by adding a new property rights element, providing for severability, providing for conflicts, and providing an effective date. Turn it over to Ms. Allen.
Very good. Good afternoon. For the record, Ingrid Allen, Town Planner. So the item that's before you is an amendment to the town's comprehensive plan in order to incorporate a new property rights element. And for your information, the town's comprehensive plan currently has 8 elements. So if we, by adding this element, obviously we'll bring that to 9. I have put together just some bullet points that kind of summarizes how we got to this property rights element requirement. So I'll go through that briefly. It's documented in your staff report, again, which starts on page 7. So basically, there was a House Bill 59 that became effective on July 1st of 2021. And this requires, again, local governments to adopt this property rights element. It actually updated existing Florida statutes. A particular section, actually, it's I documented in your staff report, is section 163.31776. This section of Florida statute dictates what the requirements are for each element in the comprehensive plan. So again, it's amending the section and adding the property rights element provisions. Also in this section, what that House bill did is it updated as to when you actually have to adopt it. So you have to adopt it either prior to your next comprehensive plan amendment or prior to your next evaluation and appraisal of your comprehensive plan. And as I noted in the staff report, the next time the town will be considering an evaluation and appraisal of your comprehensive plan will be in 2025. This is a 7-year process. Every 7 years you look at it. So that said, that's what the Florida statutes currently reads. Now, I'll bring you back to January of this year of 2022. You all adopted a future land use map amendment. If you recall, there's one parcel in the Boca Cove development that didn't have a future land use designation. If you remember, concurrent with that future land use map amendment, there was a rezoning, right? There were 3 parcels in Boca Cove that didn't have a zoning district. We found out about this from the Palm Beach County property appraiser. Now, of the 3 that got rezoned to the proper zoning district that all the other parcels in Boca Cove have, of those 3, only 1 did not have a corresponding future land use designation. Remember, every parcel has to have a zoning district and a corresponding future land use designation. So that was adopted in January of 2022, which is after the effective date. Now, staff felt that because it was to correct a Scrivener's error, that it didn't trigger adopting the property rights element at that time. It wasn't like the property owners were initiating a map amendment to change the density, which is typically why you do a map change. That was not the case at all. This was again to correct a Scrivener's error. We did send up the amendment package to the Department of Economic Opportunity, which is the state land planning agency, after the commission adopted it. And they responded back with an acknowledgement letter basically saying, hey, where's your property rights element? You didn't adopt it. This amendment happened after that July 1st effective date. Well, staff responded back saying, well, again, it was well documented in the staff report. It was well documented in the adopted ordinance that this was to correct a Scrivener's error. So staff didn't feel that we would trigger that property rights adoption, the adoption of the element at that time. We have the best intentions to do it eventually. They basically responded back, no, we stand behind our acknowledgement letter and check with your town attorney. So we checked with the town attorney. Town attorney indicated that we will go ahead and have to re-adopt that future land use map amendment once the property rights element has been adopted. Now, keep in mind, and as I document in your staff report, to amend the comprehensive plan to add a new element, it's a 2-phase process. So what's before you today is to transmit the amendment to the State Land Planning Agency, Department of Economic Opportunity. They will review it. Other state agencies will also review it per Florida statute. There are certain state agencies that review these type of amendments. Florida Department of Environmental Protection, Florida Department of Transportation, Department of State, so on and so forth. They will have 30 days to provide comments to the town. I do not anticipate any comments. This is very straightforward. So I did note in your staff report that I anticipate an August date for adoption. It will come back to you. And then on that same agenda, you will adopt the property rights element. And then right after that, you'll re-adopt the future land use map amendment that was specific to that Boca Cove parcel. So that's it in a nutshell. Oh, I just wanted to show you the next slide. Just wanted to show you how the ordinance language that's in your packets, it mimics the statute. This is the statute, those 4 items, it's verbatim in your in the ordinance, which is starts on page 9 of your package. That's it. I'll be glad to address any questions you might have.
So you want a motion on this?
Yes, a motion to transmit.
Okay,
I move we transmit the proposed ordinance incorporating the property rights element required by the state.
Second.
all in favor?
Aye.
Thank you for the explanation.
My goodness.
Yeah.
What a
I-
bureaucrat.
This is bureaucracy
Right.
at its worst.
I have a comment.
I agree.
Don't people ordinarily have these property rights when they buy a piece of property? I mean, I would think that you've got the right to possess the property if you own it.
Correct. And you also are protected by the Burt Harris Act. So you have all these other protections, but the legislator felt that one more placement of the state's commitment to private property rights should be
Yeah.
memorialized in your official document, which is your comp plan.
All
And that is
because of a
as its own
scrivener.
elements.
Redundant. No, we were supposed to do this before. but
Yeah.
this-
The
redundant-
scriveners ever
yes.
started. the whole-
Legislature is all about redundancy.
My God. And this is 0.8 acres.
Yes.
So divided with 3 parcels.
Yep.
Oh, my God. Anyways, we're done.
Okay, shall we move on to let me get where I am. To the continued discussion on fire rescue.
Yes, thank you, Mayor. So we're making a lot of good progress this week. I know Teresa is meeting with Mr. Joseph, Mr. McCarthy, to tie down every piece of paper, information, document, plan, any supporting documentation for the COPCN, which we need. Our idea is to deliver this by July 1-ish, 4th of July, to the emergency management director, so they can have that first review of our completed application to operate as an ALS fire rescue department. So this is for the emergency response side of things. So much of that is complete. Now we're in the assembly phase to make sure we haven't missed anything. All the documents are signed. I know that Dr. Cohen, who's our medical director, has spent a lot of time making sure all of his documentations, DEA licensures. We've got Boundtree. We're getting all our vendors tied in to supply us with everything we need. As I indicated before, and what you will be approving at your next meeting is for our EMS vehicle, which is our type 1, got it, good, type 1 EMS vehicle through Horton. And Horton, again, just makes the box on top of a Ford or Chevy chassis, large body chassis. So we'll get that order approved by the commission at our next meeting on the 21st. We'll assemble the COPCN. Also, we've gotten, as I had indicated, we're recruiting for the fire chief. Our first pass of applications, we have 10. From that, I'm going to look to make sure everything is complete enough to begin our cursory screening. Chief Hartman and I, and potentially an area fire chief will join us potentially to do that initial screening where we'll take those candidates from 10 to a handful of qualified candidates and set up one-on-one meetings with each commissioner so you can have an opportunity to meet and then share your opinions with me as to who you're comfortable with serving as our inaugural fire chief. Again, all of these fire chiefs, we are looking for a longer term commitment. We're not looking for a 1 to 2, 3 year type service commitment, and also to be a little more active than most fire chiefs are into the day-to-day operations, just because we're a smaller agency.
I'd like to add one thing. There is a fellow lives in our town that is a fireman. He's someplace in Broward. And he's communicated to me that he would like to be part of the process of interviewing for this. Not he himself, he doesn't want to interview for the chief, but because he's boots on the ground, is his expression, he thought that he could add a lot to the process of interviewing for the chief. So I told him when the time comes, I would bring it to the commission because it's not my decision, it's the commission's decision. So do we want to include him in the process? And he would, if we did, he would be added to one of us. And then we would seek his input on what his thoughts were of the final candidates that we were interviewing. Start with, I don't see any downside. So start with John, yes or no, plus or minus, what do you think?
First thought is if we let this person go on, which I have no problem with, but will others then say, well, why not me? Would there be others in the fire department that we have here be interested in doing something similar? I don't know.
Well,
Just saying that would be the only downside I can think
I
of.
would say the only things that qualify him separately from people that are in the fire department here is he's a resident in our town. And he's a boots on the ground fireman.
Okay. I would support it.
And he came forward and asked to do this. And do we have to publicize that he's doing it?
No,
They're closed meetings. So, yeah, on those grounds, I would say yes.
okay,
I would want to run it by Chief Josephs and Marshall. Do you have input on this, Marshall? Because
I
you're the-
mean, if you want a resident to
Hands-on
sit
here.
in on our initial screening team, that seems appropriate. If there's more people in the public that want to participate, we could also follow up with a candidates kind of Q&A with the commission at a public meeting. And that way the public could have an opportunity to do something. Might be a little bit intense for a public safety chief for a small town, but it's possible that we could do it. I don't know any of these candidates, so I know one of the 10 candidates. Mr. Joseph has indicated his desire to apply. But the other 9, I do not know. So, we'll go through the screening process again and get it down to a handful. If you would like a resident to sit with Chief Hartman and I in those initial screenings, I don't have a problem with that. Barring a brief conversation with the gentleman to make sure there's nothing in their history that may cloud this, their relationship to potentially one of the candidates. I don't know. There is a candidate out of Miami-Dade. I just don't know their involvement in committees and groups that they may come with a somewhat of a bias or an inside scoop
Right.
with someone of the candidates. I just have to ask that out.
Yeah.
But
No,
otherwise,
you'd have to flush that out for sure.
sure.
Yes, I would like to finish. I think it would be important for Marshall and Chief Josephs to meet with the fellow in advance and make sure that it's
Okay, well-
inappropriate. But I wouldn't want to set a precedent that just because someone had a history of a job description in a field we're looking into, I wouldn't want to set a precedent to just start packing any of our meetings or boards with residents who may or may not be qualified. I don't want to say that that should be a general practice, but certainly we love our residents' input and help. So I'm wanting to Marshall and Glenn to maybe check it out first. Otherwise, great. Thank you for his
Well, you
involvement.
have to, unfortunately, got to exclude Greg because he's a candidate.
Yeah. right.
Correct. So it would be Marshall. Yes, sir.
It'd be
Absolutely. So
and
Marshall,
Chief.
yes, Chief Hartman.
Right.
Yes.
Okay.
Thank you. Correction that. Thank you.
Yes. Chief Hartman and I can meet with the gentleman and
Yeah, flesh it out from
see
there.
what, yeah.
Okay.
And we would only be getting the input, right? It's not like
Only
they
his
have
input,
equal vote as us or that there, he's just providing his input.
input
based on-
only.
Yeah, input
Just
only.
kind of sit on the panel
Yeah.
and score a candidate just as just towards a resident saying, this seemed interesting, not. things like that.
Yeah, the
Right.
benefit that I see is we would get input from somebody that is a fireman. So you're getting it from, let's call it the ground looking up, as opposed to us looking at the management skills.
Yeah, I see a lot of benefit from that perspective because we have never done that job. So yeah, he could, hopefully enlighten us on certain aspects, especially if we have some close candidates. He can identify some pluses or.
Sure,
minuses.
he's worked with fire chiefs.
Right,
Yeah.
So there may be things that they do
right.
that are not good for camaraderie with the boots on the ground people. And
Yeah.
maybe we need to know that.
Right.
I kind of like the fact that he reached out and then he
And-
followed up with me a couple of times saying, when, so
So he's
I
obviously
don't see
very
a drawback.
interested. I
Yeah.
think
as long as everybody's
that's to
comfortable.
be encouraged.
Yeah, but
Right, and
again, we would get his input.
Right,
we
just
make the
input.
decision.
The one
Right.
qualifier outside of having a relationship to any of the candidates would be an interest in serving here, would disqualify them. If
Right.
he wants to apply to be a firefighter here because
Right.
he's retiring and wants to, that I wouldn't want him,
I agree.
yeah, but otherwise,
Okay.
yeah. I'd be
All right, so I'll turn him over to you and
Great.
you'll take it from there. Is
Absolutely.
everybody comfortable?
Yep.
Okay, great. I'm sorry to have interrupted you.
No, no,
You're on.
no,
It's a-
perfect. Good
You
good
wanna keep
segue
going?
in there.
Want to
Other-
chat about where we are on the firehouse itself?
Sure.
on
So the
building?
fire station, again, we've, as I had indicated before, opened every cabinet, opened every door, every possibility. An opportunity exists to construct it in an alternate location, I think is very interesting and offers some positive outcomes. I don't have all the details, but just let me run this by.
Hold on to your seats.
So conceptually, and it works, it fits and it works, which is good, is to locate it behind town hall between us and the building department or the water plant. okay, and make a 2-bay, 2-story fire station very close to the water plant. Now, what that does is you said 2-bay. I thought we needed 3-bay. So I'll get to that in a minute. The 2-bay. So basically it'll have enough for the bunk rooms, the gym, the day room, 3 administrative offices for the administrative office set, and 2 bays and adequate storage and access. The power's back there. There's a potential to even create a connection between the two. We're still working out to see if we can get the grades and ADA compliance elevations. If not, even if we had to build the idea of connecting to that building is we would remove one of the entrances and we wouldn't need an elevator because that would be supplied with the water treatment plant. Even if we don't, we could do a small elevator inside nonetheless, and still works one to getting closer to maintaining our budget. And it takes away the cost from building a temp station or any coordination with an agency that may have issue with us moving in this direction or other outside influences trying to bottleneck our process. Now, the thing came is I said, 2-bay, how does this work? Well, we have a 2-bay station right now and a ladder truck fits. And that ladder truck would be the backup ladder truck. So it's never going to be truly in service, meaning that it's constantly being worked on. It only gets in use when the other ladder truck goes out for service. So the idea would be is we would keep the existing 2-bay, knock down the fire station, but keep the 2-bay, park it in there, keep it clean and shiny, slightly renovate the 2-bay station, put some doors in for like a community room that would be in the old fire station that would be connected to an expanded parking lot out front. So if you have community events or activities that we do, we could have it in the 2-bay station there. So you could have like some velvet ropes next to the clean fire truck, tables inside where we can meet and sit. So when we have the food truck and community events, that's the indoor space. Instead of having a tent, you could go into the 2-bay station. We'd have 2 public restrooms in there, or how many restrooms we needed. And that would be a flex space for the community. And a nice little community space where you come and recreate and this and that. And it satisfies the need to be able to store something somewhere. We looked at offsite. Offsite's kind of expensive and difficult to coordinate, and it's a long-term cost when we can keep what we have. So those things work. That meets the goals that you've all stipulated you wanted to see, and for the service needs, this and that. It also could provide some additional storage that a 2-bay station wouldn't, because really in a 2-bay, you have the ladder and your 2 rescues stacked and ready to go in service. You have plenty of space. It's behind town hall. There'll be some other implications. We may have to relocate the post office somewhere, things of that nature. We're trying to fine tune it, but it meets, we could provide and maintain access and stay out of the FP&L easement. We can get to the well in the back, and we'll have additional parking in the back too for public safety vehicles and the like. So, and again, it keeps us closer to our budget than we were creeping away from when we had to do a temp station, demo, relocate, canopies. It got a little tricky. So this works. We're just trying to get some fine details so we can share with you. So you could say 100% yes. We still have in our back pocket a 1-story station, but then we had to do temp. The cost with all the construction, temp station really starts to jump on us. We originally said it'd be about 180,000 to 220,000. That's looking more like 350. The church was gracious enough. Father Horgan was really gracious and said we could use the front of the church area for temp station. I thought was kudos to him. God bless. That was great. And that's still in the queue that we may need that. That was very wonderful of him to do this. So we have a lot of good options, but behind here works well and efficient in our space and connectivity to existing infrastructure. So, and keeps staff circulating here. So I'm hoping in a couple, 4 weeks, I'll have a better rendering and a plan to share with you. If it comes earlier, I'll, email it off and drop it off to you so you can kind of start getting your hands around what that would look like and feel like, but it addresses all of our needs, stays closer to our budget. And we don't have to, that interagency conflict goes away a little bit. And we get a little community bonus room, which I think would be really interesting for us to have. And even, I think it was Chief Hartman said, even if we needed more indoor space in the 2-bay, you could pull the engine out and put it on display out front because it's somewhat set back. And then you could have that entire space.
Thank you.
So
Thank you.
So that's where we're progressing. We got the application materials. We're tracking on budget. Everything's looking good. I sent you Delray stuff for what they want to charge us next year. So we're on schedule. Everything's moving quite well.
Any questions?
Yes, I have the map up of our property, and could you just walk through again, Marshall, please, where this would be
Right behind
located?
us. In the
So
parking
what
lot
would,
right
what
behind
would
us.
we lose?
Post office is the biggest thing that we might lose. Not that we're losing the post office, we just
Right.
have to move it somewhere else.
Relocate it,
Relocate
okay,
it.
and so all of that parking would therefore be the new station and the post office, and then it would be affixed between the two buildings and attached to the two buildings,
Potentially
possible?
attached to the water plant. Yeah,
To the water only, but not town hall.
not to town hall. There'll be a gap because there has to be an access gap to get to the well and the transformer.
Okay, I'm just trying to see.
And then
Okay,
there's additional space in the back, right outside of chief's office, so we can park cars flashing their lights right into his office.
great.
It's my goal.
Another question.
Yeah, the chief said we could have his office if we ran out of
Oh,
space.
great, great. I have room at my
Yeah.
house. He can.
Because
work
he's
out.
out on the main road all
Yeah.
the time anyways.
True,
Either
true.
that or the boat.
Yeah, I saw him out there all
Yeah.
weekend. Joking.
But yeah, we got plenty of space. And again,
Got
my
it.
idea for the back, outside of some spaces to get into, because if the post office goes away, you still need some parking to get to the building department, but mostly all of our public safety parking and space and vehicles would move to the rear of the property, and then we'd expand the parking lot in the front. So what we lost in the back, we gain in the front when we demo. So it works out. It's pretty good balance, keeps us closer to budget.
Marshall, another question. I sometimes have trouble manipulating my truck to the library because the road is narrow inside, in and
Mhm.
out egress for vehicles. So therefore, would we take up both lanes for the trucks to
Yeah.
maneuver? Because I don't see a lot of, I don't know how they would turn. It's a tight,
It'll shut down. Everything gets
it's a
shut
tight
down.
90-degree angle turn to travel south to east to exit, for example. So do we lose what there landscaping and,
We'll lose some landscaping and the like, but
Just-
we can make it fit. It
We
works. The
can.
turning radiuses meet.
have you checked that? The
Mhm,
turning
yeah.
radius? Okay. This doesn't look really swift here, but okay. We
does.
would reconfigure the curbing and the landscaping to allow. Okay, great. That's
yeah,
a
of
brilliant
course.
idea. Whose idea was this?
Mine.
What? There you go.
Really? It
Perfect.
was?
Everybody else, everybody in
on.
this room's a
Was
success.
that your idea,
So-
Mayor?
No, we were all looking at alternative space and together as a group, we came up with the idea.
Okay, well, you all need an extra cup of coffee.
Yeah.
Great job.
Those were the extra cabinets.
Really
and
great.
doors. Is there
Great
somewhere else
thinking.
we can make this work?
And then we save demolition costs, which
mhm.
never mind
Yeah. No, it's a big
the
savings.
temporary space, but demolition costs a lot in and of itself.
Mhm.
Right. If you take, I don't know what it would cost for demo, but take those dollars, put it into rehabbing that building.
Sure.
It's a win-win all the way around.
And again, if
Sure.
that one resident that emailed us, if there's room for a swing set at the end of the day, we'll
Yeah.
find a way. If you're watching, we'll get it there. So we'll do what we can to,
Yeah.
improve that community
Keep your
space.
fingers crossed that it'll work out.
Yeah, I have a
Mhm.
question. Are there any
Certainly would.
identified downsides at this point of doing something? like that?
Originally was the FP&L easement. I've cleared with FP&L. They said you just can't build on it. All right. Even though they let us build the canopy to the water plant on top of it, we just can't build a structure permanently. So we're going to move right up to that line. And again, the only difficulty I think will be the connection between the two buildings. And that's what Sam's looking at now, because we have to get the grades right. And the first floor is 14 feet of the water treatment plant. It may be more like 15 to 18 for the bays. So then how do you connect the floors if you can't do some ramping, if there's space? So we're looking at those type of things. But from his preliminary estimates that him and Joby are working on, even if we have to put a small elevator and then in another building, it still works.
Look, we got the best architect around, so he'll figure those things out. That's what he
That's what I'm
does.
hoping to get you those kind of drawings so you can start seeing, and then we'll start doing the elevations and how does it look? But again, it doesn't dominate the space from the street where you've got a big structure out front. It fits in front of an existing large 2-story structure. So it kind of blends better into the site.
They'll get it.
Other than that, all those other things that we were working on, we're getting HR into place. We're starting to work on those. We've got some new software packages for recruitment. So we're starting to move in there, and we'll start hitting the policies, procedures, and get everything in place for that.
A little note that's minor, but could be major. As we work with FDOT and the utilities going forward on the triple R, could we maybe keep in mind a flashing light for whichever design we choose for the egress and ingress location for the fire trucks, as they have, for example, in Delray Beach on Linton, which
Yeah,
would,
it's a good point.
we could really use here at times when season and the traffic is overwhelming and the poor guys are trying to back in the truck.
We'll probably need to do that, especially on the exit side on an emergency, to have something to block folks off on the sidewalks and the
Big
street a little
arms that
bit,
come
little,
down.
some warning lights, nothing
No, seriously.
obtrusive, but something that just indicates that it's, because when they pull back in, they could follow normal protocol and they'll just back into the base stage. So
Yep.
we're good.
We'll figure it out.
Yeah.
Yep. Okay. Good. Thanks, Marsh.
Exciting.
Okay, let's move on to the continued discussion on the entry sign. Could you just update us first on this?
Do I read it?
Oh, just tell us what he said. and
Okay.
Then I've got an email that I need to update that.
Okay, so I'm just looking at this for the first time. We received a letter from Mr. Ron Bennett. Thank you for submitting your thoughts on this letter. And basically, what he's saying is he wants to make sure we address the flag. I guess the flag is in pretty poor condition, although I haven't really.
We'll get some new, we'll take a look. We'll get new ones.
Yeah,
whatever it
I haven't
takes.
really
It's not a-
noticed.
It's not a big deal. Well, if it looks bad, I apologize and we'll take care of
Okay, thanks. So that'll be before we address the signs.
that. Right away, right away.
And we have our first submission, it sounds like. Boynton Beach has a very nice sign. I have noticed it before. It's on Federal Highway by the, there's a Walmart there in the corner. And so looks like we have our first
Okay,
submission. So
good.
thank you.
Okay, I got an email, and obviously I couldn't forward it to everybody, and I didn't see it until late yesterday, like when I was having dinner, so it was too late to send it on to Marshall. Excuse me. But just read a couple of thoughts that were in it that I think are important for us to consider. One thought is that it is an important aspect to keep the identities of the designer / applicants confidential. That avoids any popular votes. So that when votes are done, people aren't just voting for their friends. Thought that was an interesting idea. The other thing is this, even though the town commission is not voting on an item, you should reserve the right to reject any and all entries if the winning entry just happens to be unacceptable due to cost or appearance. It would be a mistake not to kind of be the adults in the room. I'm just reading what this person said, and I think he's right. So somehow, I think in the communication that we send out, we need to have some type of a statement at the end that we reserve the right to reject. It could be just because we only get 4 entries or 10 entries. There's not enough for us to choose what we believe are good entries. So we then don't send out the 10 and none of them do we believe are appropriate for our town. So somehow we need to put something in there so that we can say, hey, we tried and nothing came through that was appropriate in our minds. So now we're going to go out and hire a professional.
Mayor?
So I think both of those ideas were valid. That's why I wanted to share them with the group.
Yes, sir. I would like to concur with that because from a brief recent experience, the Bellito Association had looked into a new signage. And there were some ideas that came in at $50,000 and $80,000 to include a marble overlay and a rebuild. And therefore, looking at 2 sign entries, we don't want to, excessively spend taxpayer funds when we could do it in a beautiful manner and cost effective. So I would agree, maybe we should have a first right of refusal clause in there for the
some kind of-
commission.
Yeah,
That would be
there's a
great.
perfect example of what we find not to be acceptable. It might not be the appearance. It could be the manner
Design
in which it's
anything,
produced or
right?
whatever.
Or it may
Yeah,
not flow with the rest of the town in terms of what we're doing here at Town Hall.
Right.
I
So-
would also say we need to have a minimum number of votes. I don't want 30 people deciding what we're going to do.
Another good point.
That to me doesn't make any sense. I did get an email as well, and he was worried about the voting and do we have to have, it's not a real election. It's a straw poll, basically. I don't think we need to get into all the legalese that an actual election would involve. This is not that.
Yeah, so I could take over the item now, perhaps. Maybe this is a good time. Yeah, so I totally agree, Commissioner David. I guess I don't know if we need to word it at something else. I mean, I was calling it a vote, but it's not really a vote. It's more, and I wasn't sure if the town attorney had input on this, if we should be calling it something other than a vote. Because it's really about seeking residents' input and allowing them to indicate a preference for a design rather than calling it an official election or a vote. So I don't know if we need to be using different verbiage in referring to this project or not. That's how I see it. It's not an official vote. It's not anything official. We have to go and get, official counting and all that. It's more about getting residents' input, and they're allowed to have they're allowed to express interest for one design, and that we would count all those preferences up as a way to, identify what would be the winning design.
So it's more gain input than it is what we
Voting.
say here, cast their vote.
Right.
Okay,
So I could,
follow.
so I don't know, should I reword it that way? To me, I thought it was obvious, but
I mean, taking a step back, this is nothing more than a mechanism by way of which you're getting residents to really select maybe some possible samples, right, or ideas. And if anyone, the way I view it right now, there's no binding requirement. So even if you get one that votes, that has votes, that people select as the number one, that doesn't mean that you have to accept that, right? I mean, as an elected body, you have the ability to not accept that for whatever reason that may be. If you want to massage the language, I could certainly work with Marshall and kind of tweak it. I don't know if you necessarily have to.
yeah, I'm fine with, us coming up with the language. I just didn't know if the direction from you was, oh, don't call it a vote so that no one gets confused that there's official election, or can we call it a vote? And
Yeah, there's a simple way to do this, I think. Let's say we get it down to the 3 that we want to send out,
right,
or whatever the number is, but it's a very small number.
right,
And then we ask them to rate them 1, 2, 3, or 1, 2, 3, 4. And that's just gaining preference.
Right.
We'd like to know what your preference is. And then right away, you can say, okay, which ones got 1s and 2s? And now you know what their primary preferences are. And we take that into consideration when we decide which way to go. This person that wrote this said perhaps we should get some professionals to make the final decision, not the commission. Well, I don't agree with that. I think
Yeah,
the commission that's our responsibility. But that way we can find out what their preferences are without saying what's the number one vote.
right,
Because now when you put 1 and 2 together, now you find out what their real preferences are
Right.
as a group.
right.
So, and we use the word preference or something
Okay,
like
so
that,
don't use the word
as
vote.
opposed to
Okay,
vote.
okay,
I mean, I would suspect that you're not going to release anything unless you're comfortable with it being released, right? So
Correct.
whatever it is, whether it's 5, whether it's 8, however it is that you decide, that's something that'll be vetted by the commission and ultimately made available to the general public for them to identify and rate how they want to rate it.
Yeah,
So you'll be able to control at least the medium of what will be put out there to the general public. And that way, whatever may be selected, you would have already pre-viewed it and pre-screened it.
yeah.
Yes,
the way I'm
and
viewing
Let's
it.
repeat what he just said.
yeah, and that,
We're not going to put on that list anything that we wouldn't be comfortable becoming our signs.
That's
exactly,
yeah.
and that's part of the process, which is documented here. So maybe we can just kind of go through what we have in our agenda. So just kind of, I made some changes to the process as a result of the discussion that we had on this the last time. So obviously we would announce this to all the residents and with the various ways, and we would explain what the purpose is, give some general specification on the town entry signs. And we're going to give instructions to the residents on how to submit their ideas. So they can submit photos or drawings, or I guess they could refer to other signs that, I know what they're talking about. And we're going to have an email sign up set up so that people can email these things, their digital copies of them, or if they want to draw it out, they can come bring a hard copy to the reception office of Town Hall, and there'll be a box for them to drop it off. So
Should we have something about the dimensions?
Yeah.
Because you don't know, can't always tell how big something is
Okay,
from a
that-
description or a drawing or a picture.
Okay, that
and
was
it-
brought up last time when I was reviewing the minutes. I noticed that Marshall and I have that assignment.
Yeah,
We
that,
just didn't do it.
that,
Okay,
we-
but
you
that's
know,
our-
maybe
that'll
part
be
of
in
what
there,
you
yeah.
put in
Yeah.
there is not to exceed dimensions.
right, yeah, so we'll give some sort of general specifications, second bullet under the announcements here. We'll provide some sort of specifications for the.
Can we
town
back
entry
up?
signs.
I don't like the idea of referring to. Because somebody was in Miami and they saw a great sign on such an address and they referred to that. Well, now we've got to get somebody down there to take a picture of it.
Okay,
So I don't think we should allow refer to.
okay, okay,
Pictures would be allowed.
Yes,
Okay.
they can take a picture of it.
They can take the picture, but
okay, so we'll
No.
leave it as it is. They can either submit a photo or a drawing so that we know a little more specifically what it is. Okay, so I guess one change that I made from last time. So the input as a discussion last time, because I think originally I was thinking, okay, give people 2 weeks, and that is ridiculously short. So I kind of went in the other direction and made a very long.
we
And-
sure did.
Yeah, so I guess I wanted to get your input on that. And the reason for that is, I guess I thought as people traveled over the summer, I know it's taken me a while. Like now that I know this is coming, I have been driving around town, like looking at
around.
signs. And to be honest, I haven't even really come up with
I haven't
One
either. I've been
ear.
looking.
so, and it's not that, so, the input from the last meeting was, at least a month. Well, I guess I'm thinking I chose February 10th, 2023, because it would take us through the summer and into season. So it just seems like it takes a while to spread the word. It takes a while as you're driving around, to actually observe the signs. And then, we'll have more people here in season. So February 10th, I thought worked well because we have a meeting shortly after the 21st, I guess. I think that's right. I think all these dates are correct. So if everyone submits their designs no later than February 10th, so hopefully nobody's waiting till the last minute. But let's say they did, they submitted the signs February 10th. I could compile them all for us to review them, and us meaning the commissioners at the 21st, February 21st meeting. And we had already discussed the process in which the commissioners selected the design finalists. So that was already something that we had discussed last time and was put as part of the process. So however many we receive by the 10th of February, 2023, at our next meeting, we would review them and we would select the design finalists. So then I was thinking, okay, so the 21st, as a result of that meeting, we would post on the website and communicate out which designs were the finalists. And then we would have from about February 22nd, the day after, because I'm assuming it's going to be quick. I'll be quick. And then, people could provide their preferences by the end of March, which is the end of season, which is when a lot of people leave. So all the preferences would be due by March 31st. So March 31st will be the last day to express your preference. And then we have a meeting April 4th. And so I guess I was thinking we could announce the winning design. So I guess in there, we could put another component to the process that if we don't have any good design finalists as deemed
Yeah.
at the February 21st, it would just stop. And then we would seek alternative, well, you know, an alternative to be determined at the time. So that could be our kill switch, I guess, at that 21st meeting, if there are no designs that none of us like. We have the right to not proceed and we'll seek alternative. So I guess another thing I wanted to discuss was who can submit design. So if we all want the individuals who are I guess at the time of the submissions, we'll keep them, the individuals who submitted them, confidential. So I guess my question is, do we want only to allow residents to submit signs, or can it be a non-resident to submit a sign?
Good question.
And I am I am in favor of allowing non-residents to submit designs, but not to cast their preference. So preferences, I think, to me, in my opinion, would only be allowed to be expressed by residents, as you know, as in deciding what the final outcome is. But I would recommend, I throw it out there for discussion, that we allow non-residents to submit designs.
I would agree with that.
So I wrote down 5 issues that I had with all of this.
Okay.
My 5th one was, why can't we also include this art design schools, School of
Yeah.
Art and Design? You got Miami, you've got Boca.
I could submit it to them.
We could give them, hey, it's $1,000 contest. Submit your sign. If we agree as the best that we will use, then they get a reward of some kind, minimum amount that goes towards the school. But certainly, when it comes to art and design, since I am absolutely a neophyte in that world, we should leverage what's already here in this area, number one. If I could go on with other.
Go ahead, yeah.
I definitely got the feedback also from residents about, this commission doesn't have authority to, conduct votes, and this should be taken over by the elections commission and, make it legal and all this stuff. It's like, you gotta be kidding me. So, okay, we can do away with that and use the word preference, and I thought, yes, no. I mean, it's a up or down vote without using the word vote. But, to get into all this other nonsense is ridiculous. I absolutely think February 23, are you kidding me? If we can't decide on something or get input on something like this in 90 days, then something's wrong. Because you don't have to drive around. You can go online. Every single town around here has their logo and stuff on their website. If they have a website, most of them do.
People aren't going to do that. They're not going to take that.
So they're going to drive around, and how many
Well,
towns?
no, it's not that you drive. It's not that they're going to specifically drive around looking at signs. It's that when you're out and about,
Out and
you
about.
will notice the signs that you might previously have just driven by and not. So you'll pull over and take a snapshot of it with your phone.
And you can do that. All
That's-
I'm saying is do that. In addition, if you're going to do a serious search, you're going to go online and you can see 20, 30 different signs.
You're going to.
But anybody who has a serious interest will do that. I'm saying.
Well, I just think,
Aside from driving around and, in your normal course, but I'm just saying 90 days, isn't that enough? I mean, for us to do a year of trying to figure out a sign, to me is, again,
well,
government at work.
I think it's more about, we're in no rush, number one. Number two, it just seems like it takes a while to kind of spread the word. It just does. I mean,
It does.
and it's more, in my opinion, the goal of this project is not necessarily just to get a good sign. It's about getting people engaged in what we're doing. So this is, to me, this is like a prime type of project where it's no rush. It to me, like, it's about, just where you are out and about. It's hard to, there's all these towns all around the US, and you wouldn't even know which one to research, which, Like, you know, we could look up Boynton Beach and capture the sign, but I wouldn't even know some Indian town road, you know, town and up north, like what is their
But
sign?
I thought
look
we agreed that the signs are falling apart and they look like hell. I mean,
Well, they are, but I think,
The
I
less.
think what we're saying here is that the tactic is the sign. The real strategy is get the population involved. So we're using the signs as the tactic to do that.
Mhm.
Normally, I would say running a contest this many months is really way too long. However, if we continue to remind them once a month, we send a note out. And, you know, maybe come up with some cute things, some cute expressions, you know, did you find a sign yet? Or, you know, Sally Jones came up with a great sign, you know, things like that, make it cute, keep them informed.
Yeah,
The summer people travel,
Right.
you know, the Northerners don't start coming down until mid-October. You know, when is it that we're going to have the next food truck event? October sometime? Welcome back.
We were anticipating something in the welcome back event in the fall, like, you know, October-ish.
Okay, so, you know, we can play something off during that time. And again, this is just a tactic. So if we can play with it for 6 months and keep using it, you know, it'd be great if we get a good sign out of it, but that's not the real goal. The real goal is get involvement, get people talking about it. Am I right?
absolutely. And really the only reason February is because it's in the middle of the season. I really was focused on, you know, January 1 to March 31, when most people are here. And,
Yeah.
you know, I guess I'm thinking, you know, maybe somebody comes from some other part of the country and they love their town sign, you know, they might submit their town sign as an idea, and they would never have thought of it if they didn't get here, you know, January.
Yeah. I mean, if it was cut off, you know, in the middle of January or the
Right.
middle of February, that doesn't really matter.
Right,
I
and then you've got
totally understand.
holidays.
Your intent is a lot different than I'm
Yeah.
task oriented. This is a task.
Yeah,
Get it done. 90 days.
No.
Get the design, get excitement.
Yeah,
We
if-
got other things to do
if,
here.
if that's what it was, then I would agree with you
Right.
completely.
Right.
Right.
You know, how do you keep something alive that long? But that's not it. That's not the real strategy.
Also, on the preference sheet, I would have a none of the above.
Okay,
Oh, there-
So
okay,
that
yeah,
if people don't like any of them,
that's cool.
then we should know that they don't like any of them.
Yeah.
Yep, when the time comes, we should certainly add
Which
that.
which is what I had as my third point. What if all the designs are unsatisfactory, either for our residents or for us?
Well,
And we don't wanna-
if that's it for us, we don't send it out. It's over.
and that's the February 21st. February 21st, if we don't like anything, then we
Then that's over.
stop.
Okay. Anything else to add?
I'm good.
Done? Done?
Are we opening this up to commercial entities? Because I feel we're getting away from the original point of allowing residents to have input and design.
I agree
offers.
completely.
And I can tell you, if you're in a position where you may need signage, all of a sudden 500 emails a day show up. And I don't know that we want to do that.
I agree with you completely. I would say that if nothing works out of here, I would then go to the colleges and the universities. I would offer $1,000 or whatever compensation to the artist that comes up with the best sign.
500.
That's fine. And then if that doesn't work, then we go to a professional and hire somebody.
I think so
If
because the-
Rodrigo doesn't want to do it at the time, you
Rodrigo,
know.
our good friend.
But I don't think we should go outside our town.
I
for
feel like
this.
we're getting away from the original intent of
Yeah, we are.
communication with our residents and allowing input, and see if that goes first.
Yeah. I'm sure
And-
John would agree.
And then secondly, if we could
In the meantime, if the signs fall apart, we just put up a couple 2x4s and we'll
right.
scribble our name.
And then that Boynton Beach sign, if you recall from my previous two,
Yeah, wasn't that in it?
it was, I believe, in excess of $250,000 sign destroyed by a drunk driver. And my friend, a contact of mine was in on the design of it as a council commissioner then. And therefore, we need to remember that the design materials have to be easily broken apart to maintain FDOT requirements for signage in case they are hit by a vehicle.
Well, that
So
kind of money's nothing for us. We'll just raise the mill rate.
There you go. I'll put that on the contest naming. If you don't like it, we're doubling your taxes.
Yeah, I guess
So
I just
We have
want
to
to,
remember those points.
I just want to remind everyone too, it's just the design concept. I mean, I think it's then, we just take
Then we'll hire an
the,
architect
yeah,
and
to
do all
actually
that.
do it. I don't think people who are coming up with the concept need to be worried about, and this is more about to communicate with everyone right here, right now. I don't think they need to worry about the specific measurements, the specific materials that it's made of, out of, whether or not, it's
100%.
all of, it's just the design.
Right.
And then we will
We'll take it
work
from
it out, the
Yeah.
details. So
Absolutely.
then anyone can submit an idea. You have an elementary school age kid who is good at, and just comes up with a great
Yeah.
design. I mean, that could definitely be the winning design. Yeah.
Okay, are we finished with all that? Everybody who's comfortable now?
I hope so.
So I'll incorporate, like, as far as next steps go, I guess I was hoping, are you guys, do you want to see this again before it goes out to the residents? How are you feeling about like the next step? So the next page, I had kind of started a draft of, what we might communicate with the residents. I guess my thought would be maybe have an email blast to kick it off and include it in the managers, monthly managers minutes.
I would suggest in the first email blast, you show the old sign. So they
Yeah,
see
so I don't know if you can,
we're
yeah, I
gonna
tried to
redo
do that.
this.
Right. I tried to do that in this, it's
Oh,
not
are you-
very
You're going to
good.
use that,
Good enough.
So I don't know, yeah, so
going
I
to use the
actually,
graphic that you have.
on page
in there?
19, there's a draft of this, and I don't know if you want to discuss what actually goes out to the residents. How do you normally do this, Marshall? Like you guys internally just come up with?
Yeah, we'll come up with a little, maybe we'll create a little web page kind of for people to kind of come and see what are the dates, this and that. It'll be a link off the front. We'll e-blast people to the website so we get that connection back. So the website will serve as kind of like a hub
Okay,
for, when do you want to know? And then we just email managers minutes. We'll put it on the cable thing that no one watches. Yeah, we'll put it on that.
So you want to use this graphic? Is that what you?
no, I was just starting a draft for,
I mean, we can
I'm
put it
not
in the
even
Coastal
sure.
Star when
Yeah,
season starts again. We can hit the Coastal Star and have a little ad. It won't cost us much to say, sign competition.
Yeah,
with the
you just
readers.
use the Southern Edition. That's-
Yeah, and we'll just
Very
get those
inexpensive.
pieces in and we'll get everybody from every angle we can. And
Actually, I'm sure we can get Rich to do an editorial on it as well.
he put an article in the last Coastal
Yeah,
Star.
he did a
you
little
see it?
piece on that.
Yeah,
Yep.
yeah, that was nice. So I guess I was thinking in the email blast that you would definitely put like some of the key information, like.
yeah.
So
Whatever
that's
you
why I
want,
put
of
this,
course.
that's why I put this draft here to kind of, so you guys knew where I was coming from. I know that it's like not in the
We'll
final
go back and forth.
draft.
We'll fine tune it. Yeah. we'll go
Okay.
through it. Yeah.
Okay, but we're ready to go, right? We're ready to start
Yeah,
communicating
I mean, I
with
don't need to
everyone.
see it. Does anybody require seeing it?
No, but I would put a picture that makes it obvious that our signs are falling apart.
Yeah.
This one just looks like it's out of focus and someone could say, what's wrong with that?
Yeah, if we had just the sign, a bit of a close-up on it,
Okay.
it'll show us.
Yeah, so
deteriorating.
people need to see that they have to be replaced.
Okay,
Yeah,
Not-
we'll get better photos.
so you just want to work with me then? You can just
Sure.
send it to me and we can just,
Yep.
I mean, I'd like to get it out kind of soon. I don't know what timing is like.
Well, we got till
Or-
February. No,
I mean, I
just
don't want
got-
to, just as people
Yeah.
travel, I mean, I know
Sure.
some people are starting to travel. So,
couple weeks, we
any-
could probably have
yeah.
something, a basic website up and then we can kick it from there. At least we have a place to come back and forth to.
that the emails
Sure.
set up, which I'm sure that's easy.
Yeah, yeah.
And yeah, just so that we can let people know because I know people are starting or are always traveling, but.
What kind of hits are we getting on the different segments of the website other than the library?
Building departments number
Well, other than the building department and the library.
We can bury it into everybody's sites and we can post it at the library. Maybe we do a little
Oh, that's a
display
good
at the
one.
library
Yeah.
because we get a lot of foot
There you go.
traffic and.
If
yeah,
when
front.
somebody clicks on the library, can this come up first?
We could do something like that.
So they have to see this before they get to the library?
I can probably do a little pop-up like you do when you go to the main page.
There you go.
I can probably do that to all the pages essentially.
Yeah, I mean, just for the kickoff, for the first few weeks,
Just gotta
and
knock the
then
sign
maybe
down, take a
again
picture of it.
a month or two later. And we can't do it all the time because that'll really annoy people.
Right,
But that way at least it gets seen.
right,
Because
right. That's the.
those are
biggest
the only
issue.
two departments that get any kind of action.
Right.
We are getting enough notice already, though. And
I love their picture.
Natasha is mentioned in here, and yes, it's a good picture, but
Yeah.
this is a kickoff and it reinforces your point about we can leverage
Yeah.
postal stuff.
Right.
Police department. Our contact us page and the media archives and minutes. So when people are coming to check the agendas, those are the, I guess, the 4, 5, and 6 pages.
Okay, great. So if we just do what we just talked about, the pop-up on the two most active ones, and only for a week,
Okay.
and then take it down, maybe the next month we do it for a week. That way, because a lot of the people are recurring on it, obviously, so we don't want to annoy them.
Right.
Fair enough?
Perfect.
Okay.
Excellent. Thank you very much.
Anything else before we move on? Everybody comfortable? Okay, what's next? Okay, new business, page 21, resolution number 2022-013. I guess I have to read this into the record, huh?
Just the title of the.
Just the
resolution.
title, okay. This is about the $5,050,000 loan resolution of the town commission, the town of Highland Beach, Florida, authorizing the town to borrow funds from Synovus Bank. That's the one down in Georgia, right? In the principal amount not to exceed $5,050,000 to pay a portion of the cost of the constructing and equipping a new fire station, awarding the note to Sonova Bank by negotiated sale, approving a loan agreement between the town and Sonova Bank, the Internal Revenue Code of 1986 as amended, providing for repeal of conflicting resolutions and providing for severability, conflicts, and an effective date. Anybody got any questions?
It's
None?
basically all that we've agreed.
We already agreed to it. Anything you want to add to it?
Nope, this is the loan agreement resolution. Resolution basically selects Synovus from our process. The resolution spells out the process that we followed through on to secure this. The bank loan is the agreement between the two parties on how that's going to work. There's a series of other documents we'll sit around and close on today. But otherwise, it's pretty self-explanatory, and you, from our meeting in May, went through all of the details. So
So this finalizes the loan. We go forward, but it does not finalize the fact that you are now the unicorn.
oh, you like that? That's pretty fun, huh?
Did you all read this? That Mr. Larrabee Mr. Laverty, our town manager, has been designated as coming up with the unicorn solution.
Yeah, this is basically a construction loan. I mean, this is not like finding sex here, you know?
As I referenced it, it was John Ford, so I want him to make sure that he's a unicorn too. But he kind of defined the product that Synovus, thank you for giving us this option. It was really what we wanted and what we needed based on our situation. So that was the unicorn. No one else was offering this, so this was a great option.
I guess it's highly unusual for municipalities. It's not unusual in the free market.
In the free
out there.
But I mean, it states here, you're able to find a loan that allows the town to take money when needed rather than all at once was so important to us. Well, yeah, clearly, this is a good deal.
That's
We do
because we
appreciate
pushed and pushed and pushed.
With your
And
leadership
pushed.
and with obviously our town manager all over this, we
Was
now
it-
have we should put as part of, announce
it was a good
my
team.
symbol for the town sign is the unicorn.
My 5-year-old daughter would be very excited.
There we
So
go.
am I, right.
Okay, we need a motion, and then I guess we need a roll call vote, right?
I move we approve resolution number 2022-013.
Second,
Roll call.
Commissioner David,
Yes,
Vice Mayor Moore,
yes.
Commissioner Shoemaker,
Yes.
Commissioner Gossick Seidman,
Yes.
and Mayor Hillman.
Yes,
Motion carries.
yay,
One question for Synovus.
too late.
Now, you were mentioning here that it's kind of a creature. So does Synovus have any specific definition or meaning, the word itself of Synovus?
Yeah, it's actually, SYNO is teamwork.
Excuse me, can you step to the microphone so the public can see you? State your name for the record.
Push the button.
There's a little button.
Andy Synovus Bank in Jacksonville, Florida.
Ah.
And it stands for SYNO is teamwork and OVUS is high quality,
In what language are we talking here?
Latin.
As- Well, as a former altar boy, I said, gee, that's got to be from a Latin expression. Anyways, thank you very much.
It's a pleasure, guys.
Well,
All right.
thank you for
Thank
coming
you.
in today. We
Thank you, of
appreciate
course.
that.
It's a pleasure.
And job well done.
Thank you.
Very pleased.
Thank you.
Okay, we move on to page 57, which are the commission minutes. Does anybody have anything on the April 19th minutes? Anything on the?
One
May-
one minor one, bottom
Okay.
of page 57, it's just missing the term meeting, last line. Planning board regular meeting is missing. Meeting, the word meeting is missing.
Okay, shake your head if you got that. Okay,
Got it.
May 3rd minutes. Okay, I have something and it's just for discussion. We go into item 12 on page 65. Second sentence, John. You mentioned, would like to see the town do something for the women involved in the sea turtle site nesting. These are the women that go out every morning actually before the sun rises. Every morning, rain or shine, they're out there.
And they got front page story in the Coastal Star.
Yeah, actually, it made me think more about it. And I know Barbara James has passed the baton on. And Chief and I actually met with the new woman that's in charge of it, that has the whole, I guess it's the license. And we suggested that they look into doing a 501c, and they're working on that now, I know. But other than giving them some guidance, what thoughts do you have, or what were you thinking when you said that the town should consider doing something?
Well, I think for the one that gave up the reins, we could do a proclamation honoring her service. Because it is Highland Beach.
I think that's a great idea. We should consider that. What do you think, Marshall?
Sure, or we could do, as part of the new construction, maybe some sea turtle feature on the site and kind of, put something up on that. That'd be kind of cool. And then every time we have a license holder, memorializing our commitment to it over time, it'd be kind of neat.
Maybe
We
do
are gonna
something.
have some type of out front with the war memorial that we're going to put out front, and then we can maybe have some other community features that are,
That's
once you
a great
come on
idea.
the site,
Yep.
be kind of neat.
Could we
So we
put
could do
that,
something like that.
sorry, could we put that up on the agenda for the next meeting?
We can
For
do some
discussion.
brainstorming.
Sure.
Just
Yeah.
do a brainstorm, since we're
Great
just
idea.
approving minutes, but it would be great to have all of us have time to think about it.
I know they
3
don't,
minutes.
they pay for things out of their own pocket, and it doesn't, they're not talking about a lot of money that they have to spend, but, maybe we would consider helping them a little bit financially.
Sure.
Minimal expenses that we could pick up. But basically, to me, I think since they're so passionate and motivated, recognition is what I think, deserve.
Okay, so let's brainstorm at the next meeting. I'm glad you suggest we'll put it on the agenda, okay? Okay,
And wait,
Um,
I have a comment on that too.
okay.
That
shoot.
same paragraph, but not the same thing you just.
Oh,
took.
okay.
Go down to the sentence that starts with Commissioner Gossett Seidman. It should be Commissioner Gossett Seidman said that and it should be legislature, not legislation.
Okay. Give Linelda a second to get that.
What page are you on?
65.
65. About
She's
halfway
in that
down.
same paragraph.
I would say, though, that the overall length of these are getting shorter, which is a.
We're
good-
getting there.
Yeah,
Yeah, progress is being made,
I
definitely.
think that's true. I
Yep.
just wanted to note that for the record.
And Linelda and I were chatting about the session that she went to a couple of weeks ago. And this was one of the subjects, wasn't it?
Yes, it was.
Okay. Anybody have anything else for the 3rd? Okay, move on to the 17th. Anything?
I don't think so.
You double check me? Okay, we'll entertain a motion for all three.
I move we approve all 3 sets of minutes as amended.
Second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, back to you for comments, John.
Okay, I guess I have a few. One is, again, I don't know if you saw in the Coastal Star, the whole storyline on Bel Ray and their water problems. Even now, they have water that has a color yellow to it. And the town is saying.
But it's good to drink.
Yeah, it's good. Don't worry about it. Don't worry about what it might be. And then I see our report. Okay, extensive, detailed, statistically lays out, but you know what was missing for me, to be honest with you? I think it's great for those who have a technical in. I just want to know, okay, I see all this, but is my water any good? I mean,
It's
is there a
clear
summary that you
and
can-
it's good and it's clean.
But I do think you need to have one section that's a summary from the water department that says, this is what it means.
Would you,
Okay,
pa-
all of this means,
Yeah.
you know, for these reasons, bang, 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 we got great water.
would you pass it over, please? I got one. I just don't have it here.
And if you find that section, you let me know.
I have no idea what the test results table means.
None. I mean, it's good for an engineer, a water engineer,
Perfect.
and
We achieved our goal.
99% of the residents won't read any of this.
We put that out every time.
There's a lot of statutory requirements in
Yeah,
there.
yeah,
you know, how we
yeah. I
pass
keep
the
hearing
test.
statutory requirements.
Yeah, it is, you know, it's kind of, but we could see, if we can make it a little bit better, punch it up and we'll add it to our list of
Maybe,
improving our communication
but
products.
maybe it
I
could
was
be
gonna say-
smaller and they could explain what this means.
Well, or how about you just have a box, a separate box that says, all of that means we have great drinking water.
I assume it means we don't have yellow water.
No metals, no
You know?
arsenic, no chemicals.
No other kinds of materials that would be offensive, but the point is, again, give me something in layman's terms that the town residents would say, even if looking at this, they'll say, yeah, but my water doesn't taste so good.
Yeah, that'd be good.
Now, which brings me to my second subject on water.
Yeah.
I have now learned in spades, because when I first did anything with coming to the town commission and speaking, it was about water. And then I got the tour, and then I was able to, with the spigot, taste the water, and it's perfectly clear and crisp and wonderful coming out of our taps. However, at the condos, it may be a very different story. And a lot of that, as I have since learned, is from the town water pipe, the main line, to the condo. And those pipes may be old and may be a problem in that it flecks off the taste that turns it into a whole different kind of water. Okay, I just wanted to.
No, I'm saying timeout. it also could be the delivery in your building.
In the building, at the pipes from the
Oh,
main,
okay.
the town line, the pipe that comes into the condo as well as up into the condo.
There you go.
Absolutely. It's a condo issue,
Right.
not a town issue.
Yeah.
But the first thing that people will say is the water from the town tastes terrible.
Okay.
And that's not the case.
Right.
And I checked into it. It's real. All right. That's subject number one. Subject number two. I'll let you decide what you can say as an update from Maloney Park at some point in your.
Okay, I'll cover that.
Marine accessories setbacks. A lot of interest continues on that score. What is our next step?
Oh, that project is given to the planning department, not the planning board.
But when will they
they-
come back to us?
Well, they are in the process, they've probably finished by this time of taking boat rides, looking at all of the different configurations that are out there, going up and down every canal.
Do we have a timeline that where they?
No, it's going to take them a while, go
Town
through it all.
manager?
I will forward you the schedule that Ingrid had forwarded to me. It is to return no earlier than July, but what we're thinking or some of the concerns that we've received is we should wait for folks. A lot of our on-water folks and single family are gone.
Yep.
And they're really concerned that this decision will be made outside of their ability to participate. So it
We're-
may be some need to push that. I know, based on the earlier conversation, you may not want to hear it, to push it until, late summer, early fall to really jump in and wrestle it. Because I know that there's some folks in the Bird neighborhood, was it Bird
Yeah,
Beach?
Bird Beach.
That was really upset that they're not going to be present because they go away. There's some folks in Valito that want to participate that go away.
Yeah, no, it's got to be done right
Okay.
and take our time,
I,
because we're
again,
going to be inviting the
But I will forward
neighborhoods
you the
in.
schedule so you could see that.
Yeah.
the residents have been, some residents have been asking, what's the time?
Gonna be a
That's the only
while.
reason I bring it up.
Yeah, because just want to elaborate on what he was saying. They'll be inviting the residents to come in for forums to discuss it, neighborhood by neighborhood.
Very good. Excellent.
Okay, do you have more?
Two more.
Okay, can I ask you to hold up? I'm going to jump over to Natasha. She has to leave at 10 of. So we'll let her do
But
her
I want
thing.
her to hear the 2 points. So be very
Well,
quick.
but then she won't have
15
time to talk.
seconds?
Okay, 15 seconds, go quick. And then we're going to come to you because you got to leave.
Decided to check with our chief and decided that we should have an article of a veteran who's on the police force in the next manager's minutes. Chief agreed, and I went ahead and did a
Right.
extensive interview with one of our officers, and you'll be reading about that soon. Outstanding situation. And I have to give condolences to a family of one of the veterans that I wrote about, that's been published, that's on our website. Ben Bishkoff, Seagate, passed away. So again, it's important that we get out and, see these veterans before it's too late.
Right.
Thank you.
Natasha.
I only had, so we got the results of the tax assessment base. And Highland Beach, our assessment base went up, 10, almost 11%, which is less than a lot of the other towns. So I was a little surprised.
But it's enough to take care of.
Yeah, so I guess that is, I'm sure we'll be talking about budget stuff soon. I know we'll be kicking that off. But I don't know, I guess I'll just share some observations maybe. So, I was curious, like, what's the percentage, because people who have homestead, our assessment base is limited to an increase of 3%. And so I was looking at all the
Correct.
dollars that are associated with homesteaded properties. So it's about 46% of our assessment base is what I figure, is what I'm estimating that's associated with homesteaded dollars. So that went up 3%. So then I was like backing into, okay, the other 54%, what did the county think, was saying was the increase in market value there. So that works out to be about 17%. And I guess I was just, I don't know when they communicate with you, how they do all this. I just thought I guess it's good. I'm sure what the county's trying to do is not go all the way to market values, because when they come
Correct.
back down, then that's a problem.
Correct.
And I'm sure non-homesteaded people, they are upset by all increases, but yeah, so it's about a 17% increase is what the county thought for Highland Beach. Manalapan as a whole went up 25%. So I don't know what percentage of theirs is homesteaded. We're pretty close to Boca. We were pretty close to Boca. It's just that Boca had a good amount of new properties that, they added, dollars for.
Tangible assets too get taxed too. So you gotta remember,
Okay,
this
so
isn't
we
just
don't have
property, it's
that.
tangible improvements inside commercial space that also gets taxed. Dorothy and her team, they do a pretty extensive go at it as far as evaluating all the sales, the transactions. About 85% of market is where they
Like to
set,
be,
they like
right,
to be there because of people will contest.
right.
There's also, outside of homestead, there are other exemptions afforded to folks for a matrix of reasons. Veterans in particular gets other types of exemptions that are added across the property. And it's the timing too, and when they close their booking for the year to come up with the assessed value. Again, it will probably go up a little bit, not enough to be material to our budgeting, but it tends to go up, like 1/10%, 0.2% once they get to the end of June and they give us the final closing and they look at that stuff. I think they're considering, a lot of people, there'll be a few more challenges than usual.
Yeah.
But again, 10% gets us, the 10 3/4% is pretty good. It allows us to do some things that we thought we were going to have to pledge a larger amount of reserves. Think fire to plug that gap. We're using a significantly smaller amount. So we're almost covering everything without having to get into the reserves. That's really good for us. So, yeah.
Okay.
But I could, I'll reach if you really.
No, I'm not. I didn't know if when you met, because I know they shared with you.
I can reach out to
No, it's not a big deal.
Dorothy Jacks will come and give a presentation to y'all.
Yeah, I'm fine. Unless anybody wants it.
No,
You want it?
If you go to the league,
Okay, well, yeah, let's ask him to come.
or you can go June 22nd to our Florida League of Cities. Dorothy will be there and she'll explain a lot of this and the real estate
Let-
markets.
let-
It might be of value to go to that luncheon.
Let's ask her to come here. That way the residents can hear it too.
Sure.
Okay,
That was it.
at her leisure.
Thank you.
That was it?
Thank you.
You're
That was
welcome.
it.
Peggy has to leave early also, so we'll ask Peggy to jump in.
Thank you, Mayor. Just two quick comments. One is I've noticed lately at middle to lower tides on the intercoastal, the water is cleaner. I'm not sure why, because when I first moved here 31 years ago to the intercoastal, it was very pristine. It went downhill for years.
Same thing at the beach.
Just noticed, it just picked up.
Yep.
So I don't know if people are using less fertilizers. I don't know if all of the issues in place are working statewide, but I wanted to comment. I see little groups of fish, little hatchlings, and it's just great. Secondly, I wanted to request, please, per our policy, if we could have letters copied to all the commission of those who wrote in about signs. So we can all share in that. I've only gotten one, but I think we could share them all with each other so we can see what people are thinking. And thanks to my fellow commissioners for their hard work.
Okay, great.
I have nothing.
Oh, easy. Okay, two things. One, thank you, Marshall, for the magnet backed.
Tricia got it.
Thank you, T.
Yep.
They're great. They're great. It's going to save holes in our clothes and everything else. Excellent. Update on Milani Park that I was asked to make. I'm going to tell you what I told you last time. Okay, there's been no change. It's been put on the back burner at Parks and Recs, and it's still on the back burner. They haven't done anything. To my knowledge, there are no changes in their plans. I think they have, 1 year more before they have to go for the last 5-year extension?
Yeah, they have till 25.
Okay. So that's it. I had lunch with Mayor Weinroth, and we chatted very briefly about it, like 2 sentences, and they said, nah, nothing's going on. So there you have it. No changes whatsoever. Okay, so like no news is good news, I guess is the expression at this point. They're fully aware of what we've shown them in terms of, you can't get 100 people on the beach. They've seen the slide on the turtle nesting on the beach. They're fully aware of the dangers of the rock. So I don't think there's any reason to contact them at this point. We would just be hassling them for no reason at all. Okay, that's it. I don't have anything else. Turn it over to council.
Nothing from myself.
Okay, glad to hear that. Marshall?
Just a few things. We get most of it with fire. You saw Del Rey's giving us their numbers. It's a little bit more favorable than it had been in years. So that's somewhat good news. We'll see how that plays out. David and I and staff are working feverishly on the budget, so we'll be prepared for our June 21st meeting. Like I said, things look really good for us. We're able to carry more on the ad valorem side of it than digging into the reserves just yet, but making those reserves still available for the project. And again, fire is really the bigger piece that we anticipated that growth in cost, and that's why we did the fund balance change, but getting a few extra dollars is good. That even being said, we're still pursuing or following the recommendation of Raftalis on the water stuff. So actually the millage rate's going to come down. So it's going to come down and we're still being able to cover a lot. So if you think when I said you get $1 million, if you roll back some of the debt service millage, it's like 900,000, which is a good number of new growth to cover. Again, when you see the growth on the fire side really does it, and the rest of staff's doing well. And we're just going through it. Kudos to David to catching on to how we've done things and where everything sits and what buckets and how we've done it in the past to kind of sort it back out, and then taking us into the new century on position budgeting and being able to tie down all those costs. So those things are moving along, and we'll have something for you all very soon to share. And it's good news, right? So we're all in a good position. The challenge is cost of living and compensation stuff that you hear in the paper and read on a regular basis. I've been reaching out to my colleagues around South Florida. Where are they at? What are they doing? So we can stay competitive in the marketplace for recruitment and retention. So that's probably our biggest challenge, and we'll have those conversations. We'll kick off on the 21st to see where everybody's at with that.
That what the 12 o'clock meeting is for?
That's the 12 o'clock on the 21st before our regular business meeting. We'll kind of roll into that. We'll make your general business meeting a little bit light. Again, this is kind of our kickoff budget of here's where we're at, our first go at it, working with department heads. This is where David and I think we should be, where we're at, and then bring it back to you on some of the other pieces and topics. Case in point would be with Synovus. We're probably not going to budget anything, but every time you want to do a draw, we'll come in with the budget amendment. So you'll take action on that draw. So then we'll know where those dollars are coming in, and each of those draws then would be a commission decision to bring those in. So, which is good in time with the project. But we'll talk about those, or kind of those nuances that we'll have to work through on the budget side. But otherwise, the budget's in great shape. Fire EMS, again, the 21st is that date. We're on target for all of the fire stuff. So we're really just in the budget phase at this point and getting that going.
Fire.
Fire.
Anybody have any questions? Nope. David, anything you want to add? No? Chief, anything? Okay, it is 2:57. We will adjourn. Thank you all.
We're cooking. Thanks, Steve. Thanks.